Again. So good morning, it's good to see all of you. Minister and Member of Parliament for Bimini, my Parliamentary Secretary, Jamal Strawn, Senator Rowe, Permanent Secretary, and the officials of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Reverend gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, friends all of Bimini. One of the stories I always tell George Weish, Mrs. Weish, is when Gus Roberts used to be a pilot for Bahamas Air. You remember Gus, right? Yeah, everybody knows Gus. Is he here? He usually follows me around. But so he'd be, yeah, I'm sure he's here every week. So as he'd fly over, he would actually dip the wings of the aircraft like this. And he'd say, "This is Bimini, and now we've reached the Bahamas." Always did it. And so, what I'd also like to do, though, is to acknowledge my brother, who's here. I see he jumped up, and he's in the back there somewhere. Yeah. So the story about him, of course, have you been here since you were here with Antoinette and us before? Yeah. He was 13 when he first came here. And my mother had gotten a job for him, a summer job at the Lerner Marine Lab. And I think you stayed with Antoinette, right? So this was a kind of refresher course coming back. So I just wanted to say that. But more generally, I was thinking, George Weish, how so much has changed in Bimini since we first started coming here. And I looked at the little children yesterday who were running in the race, and I wondered if they actually know the story of how this place developed and who was responsible for it. Glenda told me that the race is actually older than she is, so it was named, I guess, after she was born. And I was thinking we should put up a wall somewhere, all the people who ran, because Vincent gave a list of all the people who won the race in the past. And who can forget Harcourt Brown and the fishing tournament, the native fishing tournament that used to take place around the same time. I think that's all gone as well. Good, so it's back now. Yeah, that's great. And Complete Angler is gone, and all the stories about Hemingway. So I was thinking that maybe in the next year, if the minister and I can employ some resources, maybe we could challenge the high school kids in an essay competition to write the history of Bimini in a kind of essay and give some prizes for it. So that's a challenge there. The other thing is, well, it seems to me the lady who did the poem, we could just ask her now. She could probably do it. Yeah, she did such a good job. But what pleases me also is to see everybody in shirt sleeves, because, you know, it's really hot in Israel, and in Israel, everybody in Parliament just wears shirt sleeves. And we've been trying to get the leader of the House here, so I can drop this on him right now, to allow us to wear these in the House in Nassau. This is a hot country, and, you know, we should be dressed appropriately. So I congratulate all of you on the look today. When we lost the election in 2017, and we were out until 2021, I could tell you that it's a difficult psychological thing to go through. And I was trying to think when we lost, what specifically we did wrong in Bimini. Because I mean, all the projects have been done, the hotel, the employment, the road, you know. So you ask yourself, what happened? And then the way things work, because there's nothing you can do about it. Arthur Hanna used to say, when you lose, you lose. That's all there is to it. And he used to also say, when you win, you win. He was a funny fellow. But so we came back in 2021. And the interesting thing is, about 2021, is the projects had almost been put on hold. Like everything just been put on hold. So we're back again, trying to complete what we started in when we got booted out in 2017. Let's hope whatever the lesson is, and I'm not questioning that, the decision of voters, but whatever the lesson is, let's hope we learn that lesson and do all the things that are necessary to complete the job here. And I want to salute Mr. Wilstrom for the stellar work which he's done in helping with the development of this island and its progress. Thank you very much. So this morning, the headlines in the newspapers said that our colleagues on the other side are concerned about citizenship in the Bahamas, and some story about citizenship being granted without renunciation. Let me argue by analogy. We were also told, you remember that while we were in office between 2012 and 2017, that we stole $42 million out of the Treasury. Remember that story? And I said at that time, first of all, the Treasury isn't a place where you can take a wheelbarrow and go in the Treasury, put $42 million in it, and wheel it out. All right. In order for you to steal $42 million out of the Treasury, there are 1,000 people between you, the minister, and that $42 million. So if $42 million is missing in the Treasury, plenty of people you got to come to before you talk to the minister, I assure you, right? So when you talk about now citizenship being granted without regard to rules, the same thing applies. There are 1,000 rules, a score of public servants in between the minister swearing in somebody and somebody getting citizenship. And I want to go so far as to say that it would be impossible, nearly impossible, for that to happen. And I always say to people, when you see startling headlines in the newspaper, always wait to hear the other side. Hear the other side. That's a fundamental rule of law. Hear the other side. For example, they're talking about renunciations. So there's a quandary which people who are children of Jamaicans have, who were born here. Jamaica's constitution says that if you are born abroad to a Jamaican, you have the right to apply for citizenship. You're not citizen automatically. So that means when you're born, you don't get Jamaican citizenship at birth. The Bahamian constitution says the same thing. If your parents aren't Bahamian, then you can't get Bahamian citizenship. So if a Jamaican woman has a child in this country, born in this country, that person is stateless. And the question is, when it comes for that person to be sworn in as an adult, how do they renounce a citizenship that they don't have? And that happens several times. And that's just one example. So I say, just be careful and remember to hear the other side. That I would guarantee you that every case that this so-called concern about citizenship is advanced, there is a logical, rational, legal answer to the issue. And I say this also because Bahamian passports are very difficult to get. Before 1973, anyone born in the Bahamas was Bahamian. So if you were born in the Bahamas before 1973, when 10th July 1973 came, you automatically became a citizen of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. But after 1973, that changed. And only those whose parents were Bahamian could pass on citizenship to their children after 1973. And then you know there's the rule about when you reach 18 and your 19th birthday, there's that rule. And then we've just had the Privy Council say that it's possible, even though you're born out of wedlock, to take the citizenship from your father. I say to people, when the Constitution was written in 1973, there were no women at the table. So the Constitution does not reflect the wishes and aspirations of women. And the society still does not agree that those rights ought to be extended to women. So you almost have to go through a forensic examination. Well, not almost. You do have to go through a forensic examination to discover who is actually Bahamian. And this vexes people who come to apply for passports because it's just a long process. And so therefore, we are pleased, or I am pleased certainly, that one more aspect of the inconvenience has been removed, and the expense of getting a passport by removing the add-on requirement to fly to Nassau, get a car, spend the night, spend the day. You know, it's just too much in a modern age. Shouldn't be. And hopefully, once you get an electronic passport and the record is cleaned up sufficiently that the record remains so that when you get it renewed, you don't have to go through all of that again, so that that inconvenience is eliminated. And I would also ask people to take care of these passports. We have said to people who travel to Florida, I know the shopping is great, Walmart is an exciting place to be, but do not leave your passport in the glove compartment or in the suitcase in the back trunk. Because even though our friends to the west of us, the glow of which you can see in the night from West Bimini, tell us through various advisories that the Bahamas is a dangerous place. They break into cars in Florida and steal your bags. So we're asking you to be careful over there too. Yeah. You know. What is it? Yeah. They do, right? And you have it all the time. And then there's a scramble. You have to go make a police report. You have to go to the consulate, get an emergency travel document. It's a real nuisance. So my advice is try to keep the passport on you. That's really the safest thing, is keep it on you, because it's a really valuable document. And Lord help you if you're in Azerbaijan and lose the passport, because the closest place to Azerbaijan is Geneva or London. And we ain't got no money to send nobody to rescue you. No F-16s, you know, or nuclear. I was telling Mr. Wilsham the other day, we had this meeting in Nassau, and one of the American officials came and he was trying to persuade us that the only safe and environmentally friendly way to fight the climate change issue for the Bahamas was for us to invest in nuclear energy. So I said, you could see the headlines say, come to the Bahamas and get nuked. Can you imagine that? And he had it all figured out. Said, oh, well, you know, if you count the number of deaths related to nuclear accidents, it's not a single death related to it. The problem is, you only need one accident, and the whole country gets wiped out. So, you know, be careful what advice you get from the other side. Just don't keep your passport in the back trunk or in the glove compartment, you know, because the passport is valuable. So thank you all for coming this morning. I hope that this lives up to the expectations you have about the level of services which you expect. The society is becoming more sophisticated and complex in Bimini. And so the services that the government offers should match that sophistication and complication. And if there's any issue, I'm sure you'll get to Mr. Wilsham, Mr. Weish, Senator Roll, Mr. Smith, please just let us know if there's any problem at all, so that we want things to move smoothly, and that the service is a good service for you. So thank you all, and it's a real privilege, honor, and pleasure to be able to superintend this process. God bless you.
Thank you, Minister Michaud, for your kind remarks